All right, let's jump right in. We're going to go back in time almost 50 years to a single baffling signal from Mars that kicked off one of the greatest scientific mysteries of our time. It's a story full of robots, puzzling data, and a question that, believe it or not, still divides the scientific community today. So, this is the big one. This single question has fueled decades of really intense debate. And today, we're going to unpack all of it, piece by piece, kind of like a scientific detective story. We're going to look at both sides, the case for a purely chemical explanation and the really compelling case for biology. Our story begins right here, with NASA's incredible Viking landers. And what makes this mission so special, so important, is that these were the first, and get this, the only landers ever sent to actively look for signs of life on another planet. And the results they sent back, they were just completely baffling. I mean, on the one hand, when scientists on Earth added a little nutrient soup to the Martian soil, it started releasing carbon dioxide. That's a classic sign of metabolism, of something eating. But then, a super-sensitive instrument designed to find the very building blocks of life, organic molecules, it found absolutely nothing. Zero. It was a total contradiction that just stumped everybody. So all this confusion led to the first major theory. For decades, really, the main idea was that some kind of strange, non-living chemical in the Martian soil was just mimicking life. And then in 2008, a discovery by the Phoenix lander gave us the prime suspect. And that suspect is a chemical called perchlorate. Now, it's a highly reactive salt, and it was found in the Martian soil in huge quantities, way more than we see here on Earth. This one discovery really became the cornerstone of the whole non-biological explanation for everything Vikings saw. So the theory goes like this. The perchlorate model provides this really neat, tidy explanation for all of the Viking puzzles. It explains that burst of gas as just a simple chemical reaction. And it explains the lack of organic molecules by saying the perchlorate itself actually destroyed them when the sample was heated up for the test. It's a really straightforward solution that doesn't need life at all. And for a lot of people, this chemical explanation is really compelling. It's elegant, it seems to solve the original problem. But it is far from the only way to interpret the evidence. Okay, so let's flip the script and move to the other side of the aisle. Let's look at how the case for biology is built. This argument isn't about one single experiment. It's more like a foundation of cumulative, circumstantial evidence that's been growing for decades. So, proponents of the life hypothesis, they start with this really simple but powerful idea. Billions of years ago, early Mars had pretty much identical conditions to early Earth. We're talking a water ocean, a protective magnetic field, the whole shebang. Right at the exact moment, life was getting started here. So the question is, if it happened here, why not there? And the evidence just keeps piling up. We have found complex organic stuff in meteorites that we know for a fact came from Mars. Some scientists even argue that the very thing that confused the Viking scientists, that oxidizing agent, could have been created by life as a kind of defense mechanism for microbes. And then there's the modern Martian atmosphere, which shows these seasonal pulses of methane and oxygen, almost as if the planet itself is breathing. And this number, wow, it brilliantly shows just how confident some researchers are. By taking all these independent lines of evidence and plugging them into a statistical model, kind of like how a lawyer builds a powerful circumstantial case in a courtroom, they come to a really stunning conclusion, a 97% probability that Mars is and was a living planet. So we've got these two powerful arguments, right? On one side, a neat chemical explanation for the 1976 results, and on the other, this broad circumstantial case that Mars is alive. This gets us to the very heart of the matter. It's not just about the evidence anymore, but about the very nature of science itself, when we're at the absolute edge of knowledge. To really understand this deadlock, we have to look at how science works when we're exploring the complete unknown. A recent analysis of over 3,000 astrobiology research papers, it reveals something really fascinating about the language scientists use. So the research shows that papers in astrobiology have way more uncertain language than in other fields, like biomedicine. Almost a quarter of all sentences in these papers express some form of speculation or doubt or possibility. But here's the thing. This isn't a weakness. It's a sign of a field pushing the absolute limits of what we know. And this slide really shows a fascinating split. Just look at how the big speculative concepts like life, planet, and civilization are all associated with uncertainty. But then you look at the other side, concrete, measurable things that you can analyze, like a sample or an experiment. Those are discussed with a lot more confidence. And this uncertainty, it's not spread out evenly. It's actually concentrated in the introductions and the conclusions, the very places where scientists are framing the big questions and thinking about the limits of their findings. The hard data in the middle, the methods and results, that's where you find the most certainty. So, after hearing both sides of the case and really understanding the fundamental role that uncertainty plays in this field, where does that leave our Martian mystery? Well, the reality is we have two parallel truths that can both exist at the same time. The chemical case, yeah, it provides a brilliant solution to that original 1976 Viking puzzle. But the broader biological case, the one that looks at all the evidence from Mars, that remains incredibly powerful and persuasive, even if we don't have that single smoking gun microbe under a microscope. Ultimately, the key takeaway here is this. The fact that this debate is still going on doesn't mean science is broken. Actually, it means we're watching it work exactly as it's supposed to when it's facing a question this big, this profound. The uncertainty isn't a bug, it's a feature of exploring a truly exciting frontier. This whole journey into the Martian soil reminds us that the biggest answers aren't always found in a single, definitive result. Sometimes they're found in the courage to just keep asking the right questions, even if it takes another 50 years to answer them. Thanks for joining me.